Hey, it's Jimmy. Today I wanted to talk to you about a custom game mode that I have here. It's called King of the Crash Pit. Essentially what it is a King of the Hill game mode, but utilizing vehicles in classic scoring. So 1 second occupied in the hill is 1 point. And we're using 4 different teams. Pretty interesting. I'm going to go ahead and show you a visual demonstration of how the script works here, and then we're going to talk about what we're actually doing to make it happen. Not a very good driver, but you can see, you get the idea. So let's talk a little bit how this works. First things first, the player spawning. So at the moment we're not able to do multi-team. You can do it, there's a little workaround, but you have to use scripting. So I'm going to walk you through that real quick. Essentially what's happening is these are alternating initial spawns between Cobra and Eagle. And these are area monitors each around these spawn points. So when the player initially spawns and the game begins, it's going to first start by changing their team. Let's open this script right up here. Take a look. So when the object, being the player in this case, enters or exits the area monitor, it's going to set their team, which is going to in turn kill the player and then reassign them to one of these 4 different initial spawns here, or respawn points. So the way this is working is when the player spawns in, we have these gravity lifts that are pushing them into this area monitor. And a lot of this game mode is really using area monitors for scripting. It's probably the easiest way to assign teams, give weapons, give traits, different kind of things like that. I would suggest using area monitor. It makes things a lot easier. Though it is pretty tedious. If you look, we have 4 script brains running the same exact script. And let's go ahead and take a look. Let's actually just go ahead and take a look at this script here. So each one of these sections is just repeated. So basically this area here, this is just repeated 4 times throughout the script. And we can see that if we open these other script brains up here, we can see that it's pretty messy, but it's all essentially doing the same thing. So what's going on here? Well, when the player is pushed into that initial area monitor, it's going to detect if they enter, when they exit or enter the area monitor, and it's going to attempt to put them into a vehicle. After it's attempted to put the player into a vehicle, it's going to wait 1 second, and it's going to delete this object here, which is actually the floor, and that just enables the vehicle to go into the play area. When the floor is deleted, it's going to wait another 3 seconds, and it's going to spawn the floor back in. It's going to wait 5 more seconds, and then it's going to set the position of the floor to where it was initially. And so this is how we have this kind of infinitely repeating gameplay loop where, the player spawns, they're pushed into a vehicle, they drop into the play area, and then the game starts. So each one of these vehicles is important to note. There's some specific, let's actually take a look at the properties here, and we can see we have respawn conditions set to death and destruction, a despawn timer set to 1 second, and a respawn timer set to 1 second. So there's usually no downtime in between when the player spawns and they enter the play area. So that usually means that about 99% of the time the player is going to be in a vehicle on the floor here. If they're not, we have these little, I think they're called, WASP. What is this called? WASP. And this just to make the vehicular combat just a little bit more interesting. Alright, so I just finished recording and I realized I forgot to talk about the mechanism that keeps the player from exiting the vehicle. So if we run this real quick, you can actually see there's no way for any of these bots or me to exit the vehicle. So why is that happening, and how do we make that happen? And first of all, why it's happening is because this is primarily designed for vehicles. I really don't want a whole bunch of players on the ground walking around and trying to occupy the hill that way. It's just unfair. So we want to make sure that everybody gets in a vehicle and that everybody stays in the vehicle. And this is how we're doing that. So one of the things you got to think about is player isn't always going to exit the vehicle because they want to. They might exit the vehicle because the vehicle is actually flipped over. So there's a couple ways we can check for that. The first thing that we have is when the vehicle is exited, we're going to wait 0.50 seconds and attempt to put the player back into a vehicle. This caused some problems because when the vehicle flipped over, the player was actually teleporting back to the vehicle but not into it. So we're also checking, hey, when the player exits the vehicle, is the vehicle overturned? If it is overturned, flip the vehicle and then wait 50 seconds or 0.50 seconds and then put the player back into the vehicle. If the vehicle isn't flipped, then don't do anything. We also have some other scripts going on here. This is useless right now. It doesn't really do anything. The only function that this is really serving right now is to give the player a grapple shot when they enter the play area. I'm not exactly sure where this area monitor is. It's around here somewhere though. Yeah, so thanks again for watching. I appreciate it. If you're interested in playing or forging or doing something with Halo, go ahead and leave your information in the comments, and I'd love to spend some time with you folks. Thank you.